we are learning to convert fractions, decimals, and percentages. First, we need to understand that if we have a cake and we divide into 4 quarters and eat all of the quarters, we have eaten 4 quarters, 1 whole cake, or 1.0, and 100% of the cake. It doesn't matter if you have 4 quarters or 8/8, it's still 1 whole of the cake or 100%. Now, what if we eat half of the cake or 2 quarters, which are the same thing? Now we have 1/2 or half of a whole, which is 0.5, or 50%. Now let's get a little bit more complicated. I've got a superbly drawn muesli bar here, and let's say I ate 3 quarters of it. We know our fraction is 3 quarters, but what will our decimal and percentage be? Well, we haven't eaten 100% of the muesli bar. We've had 3 quarters of 100%. So 3 quarters of 100 is 75%. And as for our decimal, well, 3 quarters of 1 whole is 0.75. Let's try a different way now. I'm playing basketball and I hit 20% of my shots. Well, 20% as a fraction is 20 out of 100 shots, which we can simplify down if you know how to do that, dividing the top and bottom by 20, because 20 goes into them both. So it's the same as 1/5. And as a decimal, it's really easy, because 20% of 1 whole is the same as 0.20 or 0.2, because we don't actually need the O there. So what about if you get a real tricky one, like 14/20? Well, the trick is to try and get it to a tenth or a hundredth so that you can convert it to a decimal or percentage really easily. So to convert it to a hundredth would be pretty tricky in this situation, because we could times the bottom by 5 to get 100, but then we've got to times that 14 by 5. So we're getting a little bit tricky there. Possible, but probably not the best way. Let's try and simplify it to a tenth. So if we want to make that 20 a 10, we need to divide by 2. That means we always do the same on the top, so we'll divide that 14 by 2. Now we've got 7/10. And 7/10 is the same as 70% or 0.7. Now some of the hardest looking ones can actually be some of the easiest. For example, if we have 53 hundredths, we can't actually simplify that anymore, but we don't need to, we've already got hundredths. So it converts nice and easily into 53% or 0.53. And that's how you convert fractions, decimals, and percentages.